Hello viewers, again I have came with a new video of evolution. It is the second part. So today I will explain nicely about the evolution, that is Lamarckism, then Charles Robert Darwin's theory, then one evolution of beetles, then your selection, natural selection, theory of natural selection, a number of things. Today I will try to sum up, and after explanation of this video probably you will be clear about this chapter, because this chapter is excessive theoretical. So about evolution, first of all Darwin's, then Lamarck, Jean-Baptiste Lamarck, then the evolution of beetle, how a beetle evolved and how they survived, and certain theories of natural selection. At last I will explain about the origin of life on earth. So evolution, another name is the organic evolution. Organic means that is the living things, plants and animals, how they evolved. That is from the ancient period from the Jurassic, Triassic, Cretaceous, so many epochs and ages we have got. Probably you have heard about the dinosaur, from dinosaur how birds came, from birds dinosaurs was reptiles, then from reptiles how birds came, then from the birds ape, that means animals, and our mammals came. So step by step evolution. So first Spencer in 1852 has given the name evolution or organic evolution, and he has developed, that is he has explained, is the development of newer types of organism from the pre-existing ones through modification. Certain terms try to remember. First is modification. Modification means changes, some changes which are positive changes, and due to changes, that is which changes help the organism to survive in the newer environment. Next, Darwin in 1859 has called evolution to be descent with modification. Descent means our descendant, that is the next generation. Descent is the next generation, and after next generation they are descent with modification. Modification means some changes, as I have explained, some changes, and modification occur due to accumulation of variation. Try to remember about the accumulation of variations. Variation means changes which are positive changes, and they accumulate generation after generation. For example, the crow from urban area. Just you think, from the crow from Silchar city, some crows migrated to university area or some village areas. Then their food habit, their environment is less polluted in Silchar. That means the urban area is more polluted. Then their food habit and environment changes. So two terms try to remember. Niche. Niche means the N-I-C-H-E. Niche means the occupational habitat. For example, crow, their niche is garbage, and their habitat is tall and higher trees. That means in the night time they used to stay in the trees, but in the whole day for their collection of food they used to stay in the garbages. So garbages are their niche. So their niche changes. There are crows in Silchar and crows in Assam University area. Their niche is different. So after generation their changes occur. After few generations you will see they totally change their morphology. Morphology, that is their beak size, their beak then shape of the beak, then the size of the organism will changes. That changes is called the variation, and this variation developed during reproduction due to errors in DNA copying. Then in reproduction also you will see some DNA copying, that is DNA, you will study later on about the DNA. One DNA will separate into two and there ultimately goes to the ovum and sperms, that is gametogenesis. Gametes will formed, and in the gametes after crossing over they will changes their characters. So, variation developed during reproduction due to error in DNA copying or mutations. So, try to remember about the mutation. Mutation means the changing of the chromosomal sequence. Changing of the chromosomal sequence. So, chromosomal sequences when changes, then their characteristics will change, and that is called the mutations. Chance separation of chromosome will sometimes by chance separate each other and they will form newer and newer characters. And remember, only the organisms which are suitable for the new environment, they will survive, others will die. So, whenever they will survive, their descendant, that is their descendant ultimately will grow with their parents' character, that is the newer characters. Variation taking part in evolution are genetic variation. Genetic variation means whenever any changes occur in the chromosomes, then these changes are termed as the genetic variation. Try to remember these terms because these terms are frequently asking in the question paper for the short note. Genetic variation, that means gene variation. Gene variation means changes in their chromosomal sequence, ultimately characters are changed. So, genetic variation, certain variations develop during lifetime of an organism. That variation, for example, swimming, cycling, you know cycling, that means cycling or swimming, it is earned by the parents, that is not transmitted to the descendant, that is called the acquired variation. Or by exercise or gym you are making your body, that body will not go to their next generation. So, this is termed as the acquired variation. Remember, acquired variation have no role in the evolution. Cycling, if father knows how to cycling or how to swimming, that is their son or daughter will not know the cycling or swimming, because this will not pass to their generation. Since this is acquired by the organism, therefore it is called the acquired variation. Therefore, the certain variations develop during lifetime, whole lifetime the organism will acquire, and that variation will not transmit to their offsprings, and therefore it is called acquired variation have no role in evolution, that is their offsprings will not evolve. Then next you will see. So, this is an illustration of evolution of beetle. In the case 1, first case you see, try to observe nicely, there are red and green beetles. So, red and green beetles, the plants are green, that is leaf is green, therefore green beetle cannot be seen by the crow, but the red beetle can see by the crow. So, red beetles are eaten by the crow and the green beetles are survived, because green beetle cannot seen by the crow, therefore green beetles are survived, and the population step by step, the population generation after generation, the whole population will be the green beetle. This is called natural selection. That is, nature is selecting only the green beetles and red beetles are rejected by the nature. So, try to remember this is called natural selection. In case 2, second user in the middle row you see red and blue beetles. Here red color and blue color beetles, you try to see nicely, colors may not be visible nicely, but blue are visible. So, red and blue beetles, at first red are more and blue beetles are less. Then what happens? Then after, in the third picture you see, in the second row third picture, so number of blue beetles less but the red beetles more. This is general reproduction. After generalized reproduction, the number of blue beetles, because their parents also less, therefore blue beetles also less. Red beetles, their parents are more, so their offsprings are also more. And in the bush what happens? An elephant came. An elephant trampled and stumps on the bushes, and by chance all the red beetles dies. If all the red beetles dies, then only blue beetles are survived, and ultimately the blue beetles reproduce, and then the whole population, in the last picture of the middle row we see the whole population changes to blue. This is actually occurred due to by chance, and this is called genetic drift. Earlier, before few years, that particular forest was most of the red beetles, but after few years what happens? Most of the beetles and all the beetles changes to blue. This is called genetic drift. Try to remember genetic drift. Earlier one was the natural selection, and this is genetic drift. Because this genetic drift, natural selection, these things will come in the short note. In case 3, in the last case, what happens? Red healthy beetles were there, and due to some bacterial or fungi or some pest, most of the leaf and bushes are died. And then what happens? The beetle has got the very less amount of food. So, when the beetle get very less amount of food, then beetles become weak. After few years, what happens? Bushes again maintain its healthy growth. And remember, here what happens? Whenever the beetles are getting very less amount of food, then only few beetles will survive. That is, only the strong beetles will survive and the weaker beetle will die. Therefore, who are survived, that is a struggle for existence, they will only the resistant varieties. And after few years, when bushes will grow and the beetles become healthy. So, this is called acquired traits. And now the beetles, if any means the bushes are die, then also they can survive. So, this is called the acquired variation or acquired trait. So, try to remember about the evolution of beetles. So, next comes the theory of inheritance of acquired characters, which is termed as Lamarckism. Lamarck has given the main theory, the theory of inheritance of acquired character, that is, whichever character acquired by the organism is passes to their next generation in a little bit. So, famous, I will show the slide after explanation about his famous experiment of giraffe. So, this theory he has written in his famous book Philosophic Zoologicae. It is based on internal vital force. First of all, internal vital force, that is, all the organism has a tendency to make its structure larger and more complex to suitable with the newer and newer adapted environment. Next, about the environment. As I have explained, environment is changing day by day due to pollution and due to overpopulation. So much changes are occurring in the environment. To set and adjust with the new environment, some changes occur or some modification occur to the organism generation after generation. Then new needs, this is the important doctrine of desire. That is, all the organism needs better food. First of all, better food, better shelter, better clothing, or better everything better. So everything they need better, therefore doctrine of desire. So new needs make the organism more adapted. For example, our computer is also day by day changing. That is, we need more space, we need more speed, we need more sophisticated. Therefore, we are changing. And same way the organisms, plants and animals are also changing day by day due to the new needs, which is called the doctrine of desire. Next, use and disuse. Some organs are not used by the organism, and some organs are used by the organism more. For example, our left hand and right hand, both the hands at the time of birth has the same capability, but day by day we are using our right hand more. Generally, we are using our right hand more than we will see after, whenever we are becoming adult, then we will see that our right hand has the more capability to do the work, since we are using more. And disuse, whichever we are not using, and these organs are diminishing. For example, our appendix is for generation after generation we are not using, but in case of monkey the appendix is cecum, they are using. So appendix, then ear pinna, these are the vestigial organ, these are not required, because our brain is so developed, we can catch the sound wave nicely and we can process our sound wave properly without the help of ear pinna. In case of cow or other organisms, you may see they are changing their pinnas in the direction of the sound. Inheritance, next number 5 is the inheritance of acquired characters. Inheritance, whichever characters are earned by the organism for whole generation, that means whole life, this is inherit, that is, this is passed to its next generation. Just I will show now about the slide. Next, inherited traits. This is the another thing, that means inherited traits, some characters we are getting from our forefathers, that are called the inherited traits. So about these 6 points, Lamarck has given his theory of inheritance of acquired characters. Now you see the slide. Now you see, this is the classical example of giraffe, which Lamarck has explained. Earlier generation giraffe likes green leaves. Since they are like their green leaves to eat, then they stretches their neck. After generation, they got the long neck. Each and every generation inherited a little bit of the neck size, and after several generations its neck become this larger size. Earlier the giraffe was just horse like organism, and now it attains its neck size very larger. Now come to a theory of natural selection. So this one is the main theory. The theory states that organic evolution occurs through natural selection. That means nature will select those who are the most fittest. So about these things, the important features of this theory are overproduction. This is a classical example about the overproduction. You just think try to remember the example. One fish, it may be larger fish, it may be smaller fish, any kind of fish, roughly about 2 lakhs of eggs are given by one fish, and ultimately some died, some are eaten by other organisms, and some by predators. So ultimately 200 fishes will attain a larger size from 2 lakhs fishes, that is 2 lakhs eggs, only 200 will survive. That is controlled by the nature, that is due to the overproduction. Limited food and space. Since food is limited and space is also limited, thus most of the organism, that means the weakest organism cannot survive, only the stronger organisms can survive. Probably you have seen some plants we are selecting, that is, for example, we are growing 200, 300, 400 plants, and out of that 400 seeds we are sowing, and 400 plants are from 400, maybe 300 or 200 plants are growing. Out of that only we are weeding. Some weak plants we are collecting and we are using as the vegetables, and then larger, that only the selected plants will keep for the growing and giving the fruits. So that is due to the limited food and space. Struggle for existence, that is the organisms will struggle, they will fight for space and food, and ultimately some weaker will die and the stronger will survive. Some variations means changes, some changes which are acquired by the organism for survival to the new environment, that is called variation. Natural selection or survival of the fittest. Nature will select only those organisms which are fittest for the newer and newer condition of the environment and the nearby surroundings. Inheritance of useful variation. Inheritance means getting from their forefathers. From their forefathers, whatever they are getting, only the useful things they will keep it. Ultimately, the last is the formation of new species. Generation after generation, that is after 100 generation and before 100 generation, that is the species are changed, totally changed, and thus they will form new variation and new species. For example, as I have explained earlier, the crow, same crow which are in urban area and some are in the village area. Earlier, before 50 or 100 generation, their forefathers were same, but now total change, their interbreeding also not possible. That is, they are totally morphologically and physiologically they have changed, and ultimately new species are formed. So this is the formation of new species. So up to this is your evolution part, then we will go for the how new species are coming and how the origin of species in the earth. Actually, the earth earlier was formed from the solar system and there was no any organism. So many different types of theories are given, put forward by a number of scientists, and the Urey and Miller, this is the most accepted theory, that is from non-living thing, how living things are coming. The living thing is the protein and nucleic acid. So protein and nucleic acid, they will actually, nucleic acids are the precursor or the molecules of the proteins. So if nucleic acids can be formed, then protein can be formed. Proteins and lipids, they are formed the cell membrane and cell wall, and ultimately they will form the cell and living thing. So this theory has given by Urey Miller. I am giving the picture and by the picture I am explaining. So now you see this experiment performed by Urey and Miller. Stanley Lloyd Miller and Harold C. Urey in 1953. This is very recent. They assembled a unique apparatus and they have prepared the environment just like early Earth. They took a mixture of ammonia, methane and hydrogen. Ammonia means NH3, methane CH4 and H2 hydrogen and water, H2O water, and expose it to electric spark. Continuous they have given electric spark in the larger globe. You see electric spark, the temperature attains up to 800 degrees centigrade, and actually they have kept only to resemble the lightning of the earth when the earth was formed. That is, when the earth was in the earth, there was no any living thing. At that time they resembled probably like that this type of environment, and after 1 week, 7 days they have done like this, and they have seen 15% of carbon from methane had been converted into organic compounds like amino acids, sugars, organic acids, purines and pyrimidines. So purines and pyrimidines, actually these two are the nucleic acids. You will study later on. Purines and pyrimidines, that is adenine, guanine, cytosine and thymine. These are the, and uracil, these are the purines and pyrimidines. So these are the materials by which the nucleic acid, that is DNA and RNA are formed. So DNA and RNA, that is the part of DNA and RNA are nucleic acids. So if nucleic acids can be formed, then ultimately DNA can be formed, and whenever DNA can be formed, then ultimately the virus can formed, then from virus bacteria can formed, and then from bacteria actinomycetes, fungi, algae, and then ultimately the living things can formed. So this is the most probably the most accepted theory, and most probably this was the first life originated in the earth. Therefore you try to draw the diagram nicely and try to remember the things. What are the things? Mainly remember ammonia, methane and hydrogen, and some amount of water vapor, and temperature 800 degrees centigrade and then below 100 degrees centigrade. So today what we have studied, try to remember what we have studied, that is theory of inheritance, first of evolution, then Lamarckism, Darwinism, and the different theories given put forward by them, then about the inherited traits, then theory of natural selection, then origin of life on earth, and some parts left. These things the next video I will complete in the part 3. Actually time will not allow more larger videos, and you go through the video nicely. Several times you see the videos and you try to write in your copy, and please subscribe to my channel for getting the new videos. So up till now, stay blessed and stay well. Thank you.